we will So last week we ended here, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 21. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive action is terminated when one sees the self as the master. So we talked about the knot being cut with a sword of knowledge. That's a commonly used Vedic aphorism, that with the sword of knowledge, we can cut the knots of attachment and entanglement, right? Just like wires get entangled, when you try to charge your phone or headphones, they get all entangled, right? Same way, our activities, our expectations from our activities entangle us to those expectations. They attach us, and then we can be arm twisted, we can be cajoled into doing things that we might not want to do. But because we want that so badly, the expectation, our attachment to the expectation is set, that somebody has the power to manipulate us, to blackmail us, to arm twist us, to do this, so you get that. So that's called karma bandhana, that thing which attaches us to karma. And that thing that detaches us from karma bandhana is knowledge. Knowing that Krishna is the ultimate provider. From him comes intelligence, from him comes ability, from him comes everything. So if we have a boss, that boss is Krishna. And somehow or other, he will provide for us, whether this way or that way. Things will be, they're being provided. We see somebody else in the middle, but actually it's Krishna through the agency of whoever it is. So Krishna is the ultimate master. So we'll start with today's verse. Anybody wants to read? Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 22. Ato vai kavvayo nityam bhaktim paramaya mudha vasudeve bhagavate kurvanti atma prasadanim. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. Purport. The specialty of devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is specifically mentioned herein. Lord Sri Krishna is the Swayam Rupa personality of Godhead. And all other forms of Godhead, beginning from Sri Baladev, Shankarshan, Vasudev, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Narayana, and extending to Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Lila avatars, Yoga avatars, and many other thousands of manifestations of the personality of Godhead, are Lord Sri Krishna's plenary portions and integrated parts. The living entities are separated parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is the original form of Godhead. He is the last word in the transcendence. Thus, he is more attractive to the higher transcendentalists who participate in the eternal pastime of the Lord. So there are many manifestations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the original manifestation, the Supreme manifestation, is Krishna himself, the original personality of Godhead. And thus, Srimad Bhagavatam, as it has already mentioned, that is not going to talk indirectly, is not going to get into cheating religion, Kaitava Dharma, is not going to go here and there. It's going to directly give us, as it is, the best, Galitam Phalam, the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. And the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge is service to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Sattvam rajastama iti prakritir gunatir yukta para purusha eka ihasya datte sthiti adaye hari virinchi hariti samjana shreyamsi tatra khalu sattva tanor nirdam sayu. Translation. Forgive my Sanskrit. It's horrible, but I try. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. So, as in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Daivesha Gudamai Mama Maya Durataya. So, Daivesha Gudamai, and he talks about this divine energy of mind, right? Sattva Rajatama. Guna has two meanings. One is the Sattva Rajatama, Guna. Guna also means rope that ties us to this material world. So Sattva Rajatama are like three-pronged ropes. That's very strong rope that ties us down to this material world. So, but they are divine energies of Krishna. And thus, by Krishna's mercy, one can easily overcome them. But any other method, one can't overcome them. Because that is what the rope that ties us down to the prison cell of Maya. So, Daivi Esha Gunamai, Mama Maya Durataya. Mam evaya prapadante maya metam tarantite. Krishna says, one who surrenders unto me. Mam evaya prapadante maya metam tarantite. Tarantite means can get over it. So one who surrenders unto me can get over the three modes of nature. So three modes of nature are in Krishna's control. And here, same thing is spoken, but in a different context. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature. Why indirectly associated? Because Krishna does not touch Maya personally. He touches Maya through the agency of Durga Devi. So when you see Mahavishnu looking at Rama Devi, and with his vision, he is impregnating her with all the souls, us. And that vision is Lord Shiva, right? Shambhu. And thus Lord Shiva is called Bhutnath. Because through his agency, Krishna interacts with Durga Devi, through Maya Devi. So that's why it says indirectly interacts with the three modes of material nature. So Krishna does not directly interact with Durga Devi. Through the agency of Lord Shiva, he interacts. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, ignorance, or sattva, raja, tama. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction. So this is a material world. So this is functioning through material means. And the material means of functioning in the material world is sattva, raja, tama, the three modes of material nature. So creation, sustenance, and destruction. So mode of passion or rajaguna is very important for creation, which is presided over by Lord Brahma. Maintenance is harder. It's like building a startup. One can start something, but maintaining it, making sure you're beating your competition, making sure the salaries are getting paid on time, you are ahead of others. So maintaining is much harder. And that is Lord Vishnu's position. He's maintaining it, his sattva guna. So maintenance requires balance. You can't be like, I don't like this, moving on, right? Maintenance requires patience, balance. So Lord Vishnu is maintaining. And at the end of the 311 trillion years, 40 billion years, Lord Brahma's end of his life, Lord Shiva comes and does Tandav dance, and he's in charge of destruction. or mode of ignorance. Now, please understand, this does not mean Lord Shiva is in mode of ignorance. He's in charge of mode of ignorance. He's transcendental. He is the best amongst yogis. He is almost God, right? But he's, so sometimes we think, oh, Lord Shiva, he's in Samshan with all ash all over his body, snake around his neck. He's people think he's doing ganja and all that. So he's a very special personality. I'm not going to talk much about him because I know very little about him. But he is considered, in the Brahma Samhita as described, he is like, if Krishna is milk, Lord Shiva is like yogurt. So almost as good as God, right? So he's his own category. He's in charge of mode of ignorance. He's not in the mode of ignorance. Goddess Kali accepts meat, doesn't eat meat. She's in charge of mode of ignorance, right? To make sure those, because the Vedic system is inclusive, not exclusive. So in the inclusive process, what do we do with those who are in the mode of ignorance? Lord Shiva, Goddess Kali takes care of them, accepts their offering. One who offers meat to God, Goddess Kali accepts it, reduces their karma, and at least keeps them in the Vedic paradigm, right? One who is offering to Vishnu is in the mode of goodness, right? Lord Brahma is cursed. He doesn't get any offerings. So they have their own categories, and Lord Brahma's category is really creation, so that's almost done. So nobody really cares to even go to him because, hey, creation is done, we are all good on our own. He'll be needed again in the whatever next time there's partial annihilation. So Brahma's night, there's partial annihilation. I'm getting into this topic, I don't know, it's maybe getting complicated, but basically Lord Brahma has 1000 yuga cycles as day and 1000 yuga cycles as night. So when it becomes Brahma's night, the upper part of the universe gets destroyed, and then there is flood and all that. And then again, when Brahma's day happens, again there is creation. So Brahma's needed for the creation part. So generally he doesn't get too much worship. Well, there's only one place in India, a holy place, where Brahma is worshipped. I think it's in Rajasthan somewhere. But Lord Shiva, Pushkar. Correct. Yes. So Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, they are worshipped in various forms. There are the Vaishnavas and the Shivites. But this is Krishna's creation. This is Krishna's system. So he is managing all this. He has created this whole system for maintenance, for destruction, for creation, right? Okay, moving on. Anybody else wants to read? Because my Sanskrit is obviously horrible. Aparna, please do the honors.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 24. Parthivandarunodumastasmadagnistraye mayah tamasastu rajastasmad sattvam yad brahma darshanam. Translation. Firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood, and fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas, but goodness, sattva, is better because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth.
Thank you very much. See, Srimad Bhagavatam is called Srimad because it's very beautiful, very poetic. So there are lots of aphorisms and examples that are very beautifully, poetically given. So here is one such example where it is being described that firewood is a transformation of earth. So from earth, wood happens, and when the tree dies with the dry wood, we make firewood. Smoke is better than raw wood because smoke is a derivative. And fire is still better because from fire, Vedic sacrifice, and you can cook your food and everything else. It's the ultimate output of the firewood is fire. Similarly, from passion is better than ignorance, and goodness is better than passion. Because with goodness, one can realize absolute truth. So there is goodness and there is pure goodness. There is Sattva Guna and then there is Shuddha Sattva. So Sattva Guna is a window into Shuddha Sattva, into transcendence. So what happens when one is in Sattva Guna? One's eyes, ears are ready. One's senses are ready to see, there is more to life. When one is in ignorance, what happens? Drugs, alcohol, sleep, laziness, no time for God. We are just like, no time for oneself also. We're destructive to ourselves and destructive to others. No movement, very negative condition of life. When we are in Rajoguna, there is go, 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 go. Let's make things happen. We are always going into the future, ambitious, achievers, trying to make things happen, which is great. But then somehow or other, we are missing out on the balance. Because with the ambition and the achievement comes the elbowing everybody out of the way so I can win. Look at me, look at me, look at me. I am better than everybody else. There's comparison, there is selfishness. That is what mode of passion is characterized by. Mode of goodness is characterized by the sense of duty. Yes, I do my work. Yes, I take care of my family. Yes, I do charity. I acquire knowledge. I take care of those, who are dependent upon me. I pay my taxes. Balancing all things, keeping calm, control over senses, control over our anger, control over our urges, and thereby having control over our life. That is mode of goodness. Now, when we have this, we have control over our life. We are not just going with the flow, ga, 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 competition or falling asleep, right? It's important that when we have control over our life, then we can see there is more to life than what we see around us. And that more to life is Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now, in this human form of life, ask questions. So when you have control over your life, you have a calm mind, you have control over your senses, then you can ask higher questions and receive those answers. In the Maslow's hierarchy, if you see in the pyramid, right, the bottom is food, shelter, sense gratification, sex, medicines, health, things like that. Then comes security, social status, and whatnot. Then comes a sense of belonging, love, etc. Then comes self-actualization and making an impact. So in the Maslow's hierarchy, it requires us to be evolved to come to that self-actualization point. Same thing the Vedas are talking about in terms of coming from ignorance, then passion, then goodness, in the evolved form of mode of goodness, where we have the mental capacity to think beyond what is out there. We can ask the hard questions. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 10, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yene Mam Upayantite. I will give you the intelligence by which you can connect back to me. Dadami Buddhi Yogam, with intelligence that will connect you back. Yoga means to connect. Intelligence, Buddhi. Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mayam Upayantite. You can connect back with me. Somehow or other, find a way back to your creator. All we got to do is ask questions. So we are all here because somehow or other, we asked a question. Why does this happen? Is this true? Is there God? I want to know. Sincerely, somehow or other, we asked a question, right? And somehow or other, Krishna connected us to somebody who connected us to somebody, and here we are at Philosophy Friday, right? So this is Krishna's promise. There are many, many examples I have shared with you in the past where the most unlikely person just asking question in the middle of an Amazon forest and getting the answers. In the middle of a forest in Illinois, getting the answers. Somebody's traveling somewhere on an airplane, meeting somebody on this and getting an answer, right? And this happens to me a lot, right? When I'm especially traveling internationally, somehow or other, there's a karma. Somebody will be sitting next to me. Either they'll challenge me on my religion and I'll have to defeat them because I have nowhere to run away. Or they will ask me questions eagerly like a seeker, and I'll have some extra beads to hand it over to them, and they'll also be chanting Hare Krishna, and before you know, they'll be in Philosophy Friday, right? So somehow or other this happens, right? Because, and that is what, we are Krishna's emissaries, we are Krishna's instruments, we are learning about Krishna, so that when somebody has a question, we can answer those questions for them. And thus, Krishna's promise of Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam gets fulfilled through us. That's a great privilege. Imagine your father made a promise and you're fulfilling it. We have that privilege of fulfilling Krishna's promise. Just like Lord Nityananda, he made a prediction that in this place of Mayapur, and he pointed at that place where the temple of Vedic planetarium is being built. He said, there's going to be an Adbhut Mandir that's going to be built in this place. And people from all over the world will come here and chant and dance Krishna's holy name and Lord Gauranga's holy name. It's such a privilege that we are witnessing that happening today, right? The temple of Vedic planetarium being built, the largest temple in the entire world. So same way, Krishna has made many promises in the scriptures. How will they come true? Through us, right? So we have to get ourselves ready. We have to prepare ourselves. So here, going back to the verse, mode of goodness is better than passion and ignorance, because mode of goodness is window to transcendence. It's Shuddha Sattva. When you're mode of goodness, it's easier for us to transition to Krishna consciousness. Somebody who's a drug addict, it's slightly harder. Now, I'll tell you one secret. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is very special. Somehow or other, those who are the most unlikely candidates, this is my experience, this is not from scriptures. It is also the scriptures, actually. But those who are the most unlikely candidates make the most progress. Personally, I have been instrumental in helping devotees who have been thieves, who have been drug addicts, who have had hallucination issues. Even I have shared with you about Sneha, who was borderline autistic, completely, changed because of Krishna consciousness. Wow, how do they do that? This is my privilege of seeing Lord Chaitanya's hands working. So yes, in the Bhagavatam it says mode of goodness is the window. But please understand, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful. So in Kali Yuga, mode of goodness is hardly found. Kalo Shudra Sambhava. Everybody is Shudra in one sense. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is there. So even the most fallen person, the drug addicts and whatnot, can be uplifted to the highest level. In fact, today there are GBCs and sannyasis who were drug dealers at one point of time 50 years ago, right? So that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Yes, Aparna, please.
Prabhuji, I just added a... Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So you said that mode of goodness is like being in the mode of like performing the duties, but often, that gets like there's a thin line, right? Like often performing the duties, there is a sense of getting a fruit, right? Like, like fruitative motives. Then that mode of goodness actually can not be remaining in mode of goodness. Like what I mean, like suppose someone is doing a karma and performing the duties, right? But there is like a hidden expectation of some,
Yes.
Some rewards, recognition, or whatever, like return. And when that expectation don't meet, then that mode of goodness, though then the same like the intention turns into like the kind of anger or frustration, right? So I think that should also be kept in mind without any hidden intentions.
So that's the difference between
Fruitative
transcendence and goodness. Shuddha Sattva and Sattva. In Sattva Guna, because it is material in nature, it still has so in goodness, there is still the material aspects, the selfish aspects, the expectations, all of that, much less than passion and ignorance. But in Shuddha Sattva, that's why it's called Shuddha Sattva, it's pure, right? So that's the difference. So there's Sattvic Ahankar, right? That, oh, look at me, I'm so charitable. Oh, look at me, I'm so dutiful. I do my prayers right on time. I do my Sandhya Vandanam right on time. So those are things that come from the mode of goodness. So there is subtle levels of all these other materialistic shortcomings that come in the mode of goodness. And what you're mentioning is to transcend those, and that's where Shuddha Sattva comes in, where everything is for Krishna, everything is a matter of duty, and one is clear in one's knowledge that there's nothing to be proud about. I'm fully dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the one providing me everything that I need to do what I'm doing. Even to love him, he's providing the love. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Prabhuji, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Okay, moving on.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhuji, what exactly happens, like the difference between partial annihilation and complete annihilation?
So when partial annihilation happens, it's only part of the universe that gets annihilated. And, for the entire night of Brahma, it stays that way. And then as day of Brahma happens, there's creation again. When complete annihilation happens, that is the death of Brahma. Brahma is dead. All the demigods are done. So Mahavishnu's sweat pores, all the universes get sucked in to his sweat pores. So all the jivas are in Shushupti stage, that is sleep, Yoga Nidra. So Lord Mahavishnu is in Yoga Nidra, we are also in Shushupti stage. So there is nothing, no creation. So then Lord Vishnu breathes out, and then universes come out again, and the new Brahma comes in. With new Brahma, there is new Indra, new Chandra, new Surya, all the demigods. So new prime minister, new election. So new cabinet is formed, and then again creation begins, and that is complete annihilation and complete creation. So partial annihilation keeps happening every day of Brahma, but complete annihilation happens when Brahma dies, which is our timeline is equivalent to 311 trillion 40 billion years. Brahma's timeline is 100 years. Because Brahma's one day is 1000 yuga cycles for us. One night of Brahma is 1000 yuga cycles. One yuga cycle is 3.6 million years. So if you do the math, that's what it comes to. Confused or clear?
No, I got it, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Somewhat. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay. Moving on. Aparna, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. 1.2.25. Bhejire munayo tagre bhagavantam madhokshajam sattvam vishuddham shemaya kalpante yenu tan iha. Translation. Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world.
Thank you very much. So previously, all great sages rendered service under the personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. So please notice here the commonality between Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, because both are compiled by Vyasadev. Krishna is being referred to as Bhagavan, right? Because there is no doubt that who we are talking about. So in Bhagavad Gita, you say Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So same here also, Bhagavan is being referred to, because very clear we're talking about Krishna. Starts with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're talking about Vasudev. So previously, all sages rendered service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. Now, this by default also means that sages who want to get over the three modes of nature worships God who is beyond the three modes of nature, who are also people who are demigods who are worshipped. They are in the modes of nature, so they can't pull us out of the modes of nature. Please understand, the 33 million demigods that are there, they're within the modes of nature. Hence, it's not in their power to pull us out of the modes of nature to transcendence. Only one who is outside the modes of nature can pull us out. So that is why it's being spoken that sages used to worship the personality of Godhead, who want, so they can be pulled out from the three modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material condition and thus derive the ultimate benefit, which is being free and being connected with the Supreme Lord in loving devotional service. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. So those who have gotten liberation by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and those who follow those who have done that. So we glorify Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, the great sages, the great Narad Muni, right, Prahlad Maharaj. Why do we glorify them? Because they, by holding on to Krishna's lotus feet, have been pulled out from the material world. So we hold on to their lotus feet so that they can pull us out of this material world. So Krishna and his pure devotees can pull us out of this material world. So whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation. So when Darshikadev blesses Prahlad Maharaj, my dear Prahlad, ask for anything you want. He could have said, my dear Lord, I want to be with you always. He said, my Lord, I'm born of a demon. Please don't lure me with such blessings. You only give me one blessing, that I may be attached to the lotus feet of my guru, Narad Muni. Because when Narad Muni spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Kayadu, Prahlada's mother, she was pregnant with Prahlad. And in the womb, Prahlad Maharaj heard from Narad Muni the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he was born a pure devotee. He was born a pure devotee because he heard from Narad Muni. So he always accepted Narad Muni as his spiritual master, as his guru. So it is very important to note here that when Narsingadev gives him open offer, whatever you want, King of the universe, you want to be with me, you want to, be in Vaikuntha, whatever you want. I want to serve Narad Muni eternally. My dear Lord, may I never forget that because of him, I am seeing you face to face. Because of him, I have a relationship with you. My dear Narsingadev, please bless me that I can eternally serve Narad Muni. This pleased Narsingadev so much. Before this, all the Devatas were chanting the Purusha Shukta prayers, which are glorious Sanskrit prayers, that is, glories of the Supreme Lord. Darshakadev was breathing so hard, so angry after killing Hiranyakashipu. Then Ganesha came on his mouse, and Ganesha fell off the mouse by the breathing of Darshakadev. Darshakadev was so angry. And seeing this scene, all the demigods started laughing. The Ganesha fell off the mouse. So Brahma prayed, nothing happened. Then Brahma pushed and nudged. Prahlad, you go. Because of you, Darshakadev has come. And by the 5-year-old boy's prayer, Darshakadev was pleased. Right? And Prahlad's prays, especially so that he is saying, I want to serve your pure devotee, my guru, Narad Muni. So this is very pleasing to Krishna. Krishna says, one who says is my devotee is not my devotee. One who says is my devotee is my devotee. So Gopi Bharti or Padakamala Dasa Dasanu Das. Right? When we are the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant who are serving Krishna, Krishna's eye falls on that person who considers himself the lowest. Krishna doesn't see who directly serves him. Krishna sees who's serving my devotee and his devotee and his devotee. That's where his eye falls. Right? So That's a very important principle in our bhakti system. That's a hack, right? You want to be close to Krishna, you see the most unqualified devotee and you go serve that devotee, right? Of course, you serve qualified devotees also. But the humility is, oh, generally we think pure devotees, sannyasis will serve them. Normal devotees, what's the big deal? But Krishna sees, are you serving those who are my devotees? Any devotee? Oh, wonderful. That is so attractive to the personality of Godhead. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam is also stating, not only those who pursue the path, not only those who are pursuing Krishna directly, but those who are in that line, even such people following such great authorities become eligible. Now, I want to talk about the name mentioned here. The name of Krishna mentioned is Adhokshaja. The name mentioned here is Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja is a very unique name. At one point of time, I had the desire that if I get initiated, this should be my name. I never told my Guru Maharaj, of course, but I had the desire because I find this name fascinating. Adhokshaja means one who is beyond the mind and senses. Adho Akshaja. Aksha Aja. One who's born from what is born beyond the mind and senses. So another way of looking at it is, so there's Akshaja. Akshar means letters, the alphabet. So one who can't be described through words, who's beyond that which is describable through the akshars, through Sanskrit words. So Adhokshaja means one who's beyond mind and senses, one who's beyond explanation. And that is Krishna. I like that very much because we think, many atheists come and say, show me God. Explain God to me. Arey bhai, you can't even understand basics of computer science, basics of thermodynamics. You can't even understand what happens in a small, tiny cell, right? Dr. Juhi has joined us today. She's a doctor, and many doctors I have seen, they're very theistic in nature because when they see that how complex this body is, how complex every cell is, right? The mitochondrions, how they interact, how they create ATP, the cell, even the wall of the cell, how sophisticated it is, how it interacts with germs versus the proteins and other things that are useful to it. How does it know? One tiny cell. There's so much intelligence within it, so much complexity within it, right? Think about the whole organism here. Think about the eye. Taking all these neurons are working every microsecond. We are processing so much information through the eye, through the ear, right? Multiple processing is happening, multiple senses, and we are making sense of the world. This is nothing less than a supercomputer at work constantly. Who created this? Can't be random, right? So it is important to understand that there is super intelligence, and anybody with half a brain should be able to tell this. Adhokshaja, the word is one who cannot be explained. He's beyond our mind and intelligence. So when the Vedas talk about Krishna and describes him bluish, blackish, like a rain-carrying cloud, that's his complexion. When it says lotus-like eyes, when it says lotus feet, it is simply trying to give some mundane semblance to the most beautiful personality of Godhead who can't be explained. But we have to still understand them. So in our material world, whatever is beautiful, with that the Vedas uses those words to explain. But actually, those are not the real explanation of Krishna's beauty, of Krishna's form, of Krishna's nature. Krishna is far beyond transcendence. It's far beyond the mundane things that we know of. But to make things appreciable to us, visible, visually appealing to us, these words are used. So it is important that we understand Krishna is not explainable, but unless he wants to be explained. So although he is Adhokshaja, and in the Brahma Samhita it is said that Munis, going at the speed of mind. No, physics wise, what do we know? Speed of light is the fastest thing that we know of. According to the Vedas, faster than speed of light is speed of mind. So traveling at the speed of mind, the Munis don't understand me. But adurlabham atma bhakto, I'm very easily understood by my devotee. Why? Because Krishna allows his devotee to understand him. He gives us the intelligence. He reveals us. It's called revelation. Revelation. It can't be just like, I understand Sanskrit. I am very good at it. I'm a PhD scholar, so I can read any text and understand Krishna. Sorry, you don't have the password. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, Krishna says, this is the most confidential knowledge. I'm giving it to you, Arjuna. Bhakto si me sakha cheti. Rahasyat etat uttamam. You're my bhakta, you're my devotee and my sakha, my friend. That's why I'm revealing Rahasyas Uttamam. Rahasya means secret, mystery. Uttamam, highest degree of mystery, I'm revealing unto you. Why? Because you're Bhakta and Sakha. You're not envious of me like other people. You love me. Hence, I'm revealing my secrets to you. Who do we reveal our secrets to? Who do we share our hearts to? Those who we trust. Those who are not envious of us. Those who love us. Those who will be happy seeing us happy. So a devotee's nature is Krishna's glorification happens, devotee's heart jumps in joy and ecstasy. Krishna is glorified. Wow. Right? A non-devotee is, I am glorified. Wow. My glories. Yes, yes, yes. Right? But a devotee jumps in ecstasy when Krishna is glorified. In fact, when we are glorified, we should understand somehow or other, we might have created a blockade. We should be transparent when we are sharing Krishna consciousness. People should not be able to see us. They should see Krishna. They should see Krishna 3D animated in front of them, dancing on their hearts, right? That's when true preaching happens. This is true preaching. When Rupa Goswami would write about Radha Krishna pastimes, the happiness pastime, Radha and Krishna meeting, the trees would be bearing fruits and flowers. The birds would be chirping because the energy would be so positive just from his writing. And when Rupa Goswami would write about Radha and Krishna's departing from each other, missing each other, and separation, the trees would drop their leaves, the birds would cry, the animals would just lie down in sadness, feeling that sense. That was the purity of Rupa Goswami, right? What to speak of when Rupa Goswami would speak Krishna Katha? When Rupa Goswami writes about Krishna consciousness, he wrote so many beautiful dramas about Radha and Krishna, right? To the point, Subhadra Devi personally came and corrected and said, please write about Vrindavan and Krishna's pastimes outside Vrindavan. So such is the pure devotees' power that they can manifest Krishna to us. When you experience Krishna, you experience Krishna consciousness. That is where true transparency comes in. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. We don't look for followers. We don't look for money. We don't look for all of those material things that you see in Vrindavan and other places. Donation though, buy a ticket. Only then you get to sit in the front row VIP seats, right? That's not the mood of a devotee. A devotee's mood is we give Krishna Katha to those who are seekers, right? I could be doing this on Facebook Live. I don't. Why? I want it only to a handful of seekers who truly want to know about Krishna. That's why there's a small group of people. Because we are sincere. And that's the only thing. That's the only price to pay for bhakti. Sincere eagerness. I don't know. I want to know. Right? And Krishna gets manifested. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. It's we'll read another verse and then we'll pause for any realizations or questions. Anybody wants to read? Text 26.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'll try, Prabhu.
Please.
Mumuksavo ghora rupan hitva bhuta patin acha Narayana Kalaha Santa Vajanti Hi Anasuyava. Translation: those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary forces. Hare
Just
Krishna.
so Srimad Bhagavatam already promised us. It will not do sugar coating. It will not give us any roundabout beating around the bush. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Kamesteste ritigyana bhajate anna devata. Those whose minds are overcome by lust, they worship demigods. The words got a little stronger in Srimad Bhagavatam. The horrible. Let's read this one more time. What does it say? Those who are serious about liberation are certainly not envious and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all blissful form of Lord Vishnu. What is the point of using such words, horrible and ghastly? It's, it's actually an aspect of mercy to warn us. Don't go to demigods because that will lead to heaven. And that will lead to something that is temporary because they are not outside the three modes of nature. So they can't lead you to liberation. So why worship them? Worshipping them will lead to only temporary benefits, right? So Krishna was kind 3 times in the Bhagavad Gita. He warned us not to worship demigods. In his Leela, he did the whole Govardhan pastime, showing by example not to worship the demigods. And Krishna's devotees are even more merciful that they're using very hard words to not worship the demigods. So demigod worship, so many other organizations, Hindu organizations, consider ISKCON very myopic. That, oh, they're very, they don't even worship demigods. They don't eat prasad from demigod temples and whatnot. Hello, this is what the Srimad Bhagavatam says. This is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. And we follow what Krishna and his pure devotees are guiding us. There's a reason for it. Because that leads to something that is not our destination. Our destination is to the transcendental world of Krishna. So those who are serious about liberation and certainly not envious, and they respect all. So we respect all demigods, but we don't worship them. They reject the horrible and ghastly forms of demigod worship, and they only worship the all blissful form of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions. The qualified Brahmanas worship the Vishnu Tattvas represented by the Shalagram Shila. And some of the higher castes, like the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas, also generally worship the Vishnu Tattvas. Vishnu Tattva means Vishnu, Narayana, Rama, Balaram, right? Various, Tirupati. So there are various aspects. Krishna expands into many, many different forms, and they're called Vishnu Tattvas. But the original personality of Godhead, the most intimate form. So in Bhagavatam only, that's the most important verse. Ekyamsa kalopamsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Who's Bhagavan Swayam? Original personality of Godhead, Krishna. From him comes Vishnu Tattvas. Various forms, Mahavishnu, Karanadakshaya Vishnu, Garvadakshaya Vishnu, etc., etc. Okay, it's 8:22, so I'll pause. We have 8 minutes. If you have any questions, if you have any realizations you want to share, please feel free.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Prabhuji.
can you explain how this Brahmand is formed? Means I heard something like that.
How is what formed?
Brahmand, whole Brahmand is formed. So I heard that Mahavishnu is first Mahavishnu gets in, and then Brahma comes, and then the story, and Brahma creates the universe, and then Mahavishnu adds life to it, like that. I don't know whether it is true or not.
Yes, so Mahavishnu is in Yoga Nidra mode. And when he breathes out, universes are created. When he breathes in, universes are annihilated. When he breathes out, as universes are created, every universe, there is Mahatattva, which is like it's called the ambrosial soup, which has everything in it. So Mahatattva gets ignited by the sound Om. And then the thing starts separating. The modes of nature start separating, from the sound Om. And then earth, water, fire, air, ether. Then earth, water, fire, air, ether individually combines with the modes of nature. So earth will combine with ignorance, create something. Earth will combine with mode of goodness, create something. Passion, create something. Fire will combine with this, create something. So like permutation of combination of those things happen. Each universe has the ambrosial water at the bottom of the universe, where Karanadaksha Vishnu is lying in the Karana water. From Karanadaksha Vishnu's navel comes the lotus stem that goes all the way to the top of the universe, where a lotus is created. That's where Lord Brahma takes birth. Lord Brahma, I'm giving a very short version. Huh? You'll read about all this in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Lord Brahma, as soon as he's born, he's very curious to know what to do, because the dark universe, there is no light, there is no creation, there is nothing. So he's wondering, who am I? What am I doing? Who's my father? He crawls into the lotus stem, and it's like unending, because it's so, the universe is very, very long. He kind of gives up, goes back again to his lotus flower, and he starts hearing the word tapa, tapa, tapa. So he starts doing tapasya. And then Krishna comes and he plays the flute. Vedum Kvanantam Aravindam Dayanayataksha. So he starts playing the flute. From the flute, from Krishna's sound of his flute, the entire Vedic knowledge gets downloaded to Lord Brahma's consciousness. Then Lord Brahma knows exactly what to do, how to create the universe. And then he prays to the Supreme Lord, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajabi. And he says, my dear Lord, please don't let me get entangled into material creation. And with his blessings, Lord says, you do it as a service unto me. And he creates the 8.4 million species of life, right? The blueprint for the 8.4 million species of life. Then Lord Brahma creates his own progeny, the 4 Kumaras who are brahmacharis, and then decide, no, we're not going to get married. We're not going to have kids. Narad Muni, he's also brahmachari material, not going to have kids. Then he has Prajapatis. So Daksha Maharaj is one of the Prajapatis. So then Prajapatis decide, yes, we will populate the entire universe. So Daksh, who's the father of Durga, Sati, right? Father of Durga Devi. So Daksh, he creates his own, all the different 8.4 million species of life. According to the blueprint of Brahma, all the species are created by Prajapatis. So there are Gandharvas, there are Kinnaras, there are celestial beings, there are demoniac beings, there are demigods. All of these personalities are created. All the layers of the universe are created, and thus creation begins. And then Manu is created. And from Manu, we have all come as human forms. So for every loka, there are different personalities being created. From them, those lokas have been populated. That is the understanding.
There are various Brahmas.
Sorry?
There are various Brahmas.
There is only one Brahma.
Only one Brahma.
In our universe, there is one Brahma. Every universe has a different Brahma.
But there are multiple universes.
There are multiple universes. So Lord Mahavishnu's pores, there are unlimited pores. From unlimited pores, unlimited universes come out. And in every universe, there is a Lord Brahma. There is a Karanadaksha Vishnu, who's managing the universe, Brahma creating the universe. And Lord Shiva, so one of his expansions is also manifest, who would be destroying the universe when the time comes. Generally, Lord Shiva resides in Mahakalpur, in Shivlok. When destruction time comes, he comes down and he starts his destruction dance.
And so, who is Krishna and Mahavishnu? Who is Krishna?
Krishna is not part of this whole program. Krishna
Okay.
is happily playing his flute at Goloka. It's with Radharani. Mahavishnu is Krishna's expansion. So Krishna expands to Balaram, Balaram expands to Shankarshan, Shankarshan expands to Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu, he is there in this material cloud, dark cloud, from whose body creation happens. And annihilation also happens. And at his lotus feet is Rama Devi, who's basically Durga Devi. And she is the one who impregnates these universes with the jivas.
Okay.
This is given in Brahma Samhita as well as Srimad Bhagavatam.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Any realizations you want to share? Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna, and see you next Friday.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.